it up. Bang! Jeremy Lin from downtown, and the Knicks take the lead.
We all remember that moment. Jeremy Lin taking the game winner against the Raptors way back in 2012 at the height of Linsanity. I know he hates that term, but I don't need to ask you all why we connected with him so much. And that run, it's pretty obvious. But I want to ask you, I want to go around the panel on this one. That night he dunked. It took America by surprise. For me, it kind of felt like an Asian man was dunking on America. I know why I feel this way, but I want to ask you guys how you felt about it and why. Dale, let me start with you.
I mean, it was that about time moment for us, right? That moment in New York City with Carmelo on the team and
on the bench,
and Jeremy Lin taking over the game for a city, one of the most iconic places of basketball for New York City, and I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
So for me to even
betrayal.
Say this, yes, no, for me to even say this, you felt like it was a piece of you who nailed that three also. And we've all had that moment, and you know, if you play basketball or any sports, right, you have that end of the game, you win it.
Yeah.
And for Jeremy Lin to do it was, I mean, it was just like, we have arrived.
And Andrew, like, it's not just the dunk and that he carried the team on his shoulders in the city, but like that fire that you see from athletes typically after they do something like that. I mean, that felt so different to me. I mean, it felt familiar inside of me, but I'd never seen it sort of displayed out there publicly. Walk me through your emotions, your head in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, when you see him jump up and down, his head bobbing up and down, that confidence, that swagger, that energy, you know, that's that energy that people aren't used to seeing when they see Asian Americans, especially Asian American men. And to see someone like you know, Jeremy growing up in the Bay Area, you know, he's not like a Yao Ming kind of height. He just felt like one of us. So in that moment, it felt that we were seen or we were visible. Right. And that's such a rare moment in kind of sports representation.
Yeah, man, he was seen that night. Vincent, let's talk about that dunk, man.
Well, you know, Jeremy Lin's such a great Asian American story, but it's also just a great American story, right? Because he was kind of proving, you know, that night and his whole career that, you know, we can be better than we maybe are. And that's not just the way he's inspired, you know, kids who want to do things when they're told that they can't. But also maybe challenges all of us to think about, you know, who were the coaches along the way who maybe gave them a shot when others did not? You know, who were the managers who maybe decide, okay, they're going to think twice about just, you know, stereotyping, you know, this Asian American basketball player. So I think, you know, it's so powerful for, you know, for the community, but it also says a lot about, you know, how much higher we can go.
Philip, same thing, man. I know this is obviously a little personal. What did you feel when you watched that moment unfold?
Honestly, like I feel like it was divine intervention. It must have been just like, and I think that era and just his story is just so unique and so incredible, and it's something that I hope our community never forgets, and just how special it really did take over the world for a couple weeks. And actually it was so funny. I was actually just like texting with Jeremy like a couple days ago. I'm not trying to name drop, but like
yeah, but you just did though. But it's okay.
Yeah, so I mentioned that because like you said, like, you know, he hates that term, and actually I think in his later, like, you know, in these later years of his career, he actually has started to like lean into it more and appreciate that era more. And if anything, he kind of wishes that he was able to soak it in a little bit more. But there was just so much going on, despite everything he's done. Despite the power his name has and his brand has, he just recently had a statement on Instagram, and, you know, about him potentially like looking at his run in the NBA as being over. Despite him being a top scorer in the G League this past season, he was the only one that didn't get a contract of the top scorers. You know, so there is still a bias that is out there that I think that, especially in a field that you don't see a lot of Asian Americans, and I think that that's something that we're still going to have to keep working at to overcome.
You know, Philip, I'm glad you brought that up, because Stephen, I do want to get your thoughts on the dunk too, but I was going to ask all of you if you felt like this kind of moment had faded, like nothing really changed, even though he kind of broke through. It doesn't feel like on the bigger picture things are that different. So Stephen, I want to ask you about that and the dunk. Like, you know, how did it make you feel? And also, do you feel like he changed anything in the bigger picture?
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, Jeremy Lin is the man. I love him with all my heart. And I think what Jeremy meant with that dunk, with scoring 38 on Kobe, with all the press conferences that he had, I think the thing that really resonated with me the most, though, was his vulnerability and his trueness to himself. He was unapologetic. He didn't try to fit in a way that wasn't natural. He just lived his life, the best life he could during that run. And I do think it had a huge impact, actually. I know that since then, there have been so many more people who are like, oh, man, I can't wait to raise my kids to be the next Jeremy Lin. And I know that he's inspired the next generation of Asian American ballers. And I think he's also put respect on Asian Americans who can ball.
Okay, I mean, so sticking with this theme of how much is lasting impact, just recently there was an NFL coach, Korean-American coach, who was told as he was interviewing for coaching positions in NFL that, quote, he wasn't the right minority. Let's talk about that, Dale. Wasn't the right minority. We've heard that before. We've felt that before. What's that about?
There's a place that media and the majority think that we are supposed to be into, right? That we are supposed to fit into these roles, that we're good at math, we're smart, we're relatively well behaved.
Yeah, none of the things you are, by the way.
None.
Not good at math, not well behaved.
None.
You're shattering stereotypes just by being here, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. But I think that's the idea. And when we're not the right minority, that's what they mean. I do believe that Jeremy Lin and Linsanity and that whole movement made a difference. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Lin will have a lasting impact in Asian Americans' lives we will always look to him as the guy who broke the wall and, did all the right things. Yeah. So I think that it's that idea that you don't have to be a rebel. You can still do your thing. You can stay in your lane. You can still be smart. And you can still ball.
Real quick, I want you to jump in here, Andrew. I mean, there's so much that Dale just unpacked. Not the right minority. I mean, that's a complicated one, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't view Asian Americans as people of color or a minority.
Right.
I think that.
Or when it's convenient.
Right, or when it's convenient. And I think it's also just rooted in this notion of the model minority myth, like we mentioned before. Right. Asians are successful, they put their heads down, and they don't have any adversity or any challenges at all. And so Asian Americans are fine. They're not a minority. And I think that's a lot of that kind of stereotype goes back into how, Asian Americans are not treated as people of color.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.